Hello and welcome to the program UFO Warning. In this episode, we're talking about Nuforc sightings over Wisconsin. That's correct. Nuforc UFO sightings over Wisconsin. Hey, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Doesn't cost a dime. Trying to get that subscriber estimate up around 7,000. Getting close. This first sighting happened on March 22nd, 2026. Duration 5 minutes. Observers 2. Location, Stoughton, Wisconsin. Driving on Highway 138. Shape, rectangle. Color, orange and red. Size, appeared to be the size of a bus to maybe a small plane size, it says. Viewed from land. Direction from 0 north. Angle of elevation 65 degrees. Heading, when it took off, it headed north. Closest distance, 300 feet. Speed, I have no idea. In a flash, it was gone. Lights on, object changed color. My roommate and I were driving and saw a strange light hovering, and then it took off. My roommate and I were driving down Highway 138, heading to Stoughton from Oregon, Wisconsin, at around 9 p.m. I noticed a light in the sky and told my roommate to look at it. He said that he thought it was a tower or something. It wasn't moving and not really flashing. It was a bright orange, almost white. It wasn't moving, and I was watching it for about 2 minutes, looking to see if I could see the base of the tower. An opening in the trees happened, and I was looking directly to my left at it. With the glow coming from the Madison area behind it, I noticed that there was nothing holding it up. It was hovering in place, and I thought maybe it was a helicopter for a second. I pulled to the left into a driveway and turned back around to the lake road and went right down it. When we turned right, I noticed about 4 red lights that were in a diamond shape on it, all blinking in different patterns. We were about to the curve in the road when we were looking up, and I could see a physical body to the light. It looked black and kind of had a rectangular form to it. It looked like it had mechanical elements to it. It was hard to put an exact size on it, but given its relative height, which I would say was initially about 200 feet in the air, I could say it looked similar to the size of a small plane. The object then dropped, and as it lowered, it turned into a bright red. It wasn't moving and was so bright that the trees beneath it were completely illuminated in red. And as soon as it went down, it took off almost instantly in a northern direction. We drove around the area for about 20 minutes and didn't see anything else. It was truly bizarre, and I'm still shaking just typing this. I have no idea what I saw. Boy, that's wild. I mean, just driving along the highway at night, you see this light hovering off in the distance, and the thing about it, the light's so bright that it's illuminating the trees below it. That's really something. It says, investigative report. While driving to Stoughton from Oregon, Wisconsin, the witness and his front passenger observed a cigar-shaped craft hovering approximately 200 feet in the air. The craft was approximately the size of a school bus and was completely silent. The duration of the sighting was approximately 5 minutes long, and the passenger was not interviewed. On April 14th, 2026, at 10:17 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I interviewed a witness identified as D by phone regarding his UFO sighting on March 22nd, 2026, at approximately 9:10 p.m. Central Standard Daylight Time. D stated that on March 22nd, 2026, he and his roommate, front passenger, were driving back to Stoughton, Wisconsin, when D observed a very bright orange light in the sky. D added that he kept driving while also watching the orange light, and when he got to an opening between the trees, he observed what looked like a dark rectangular craft hovering in the sky. D stated that once he got a better look at the craft, it looked more cigar-shaped with rounded ends. D also stated that he was able to see the craft pretty well because the night was clear and the lights coming from Madison, Wisconsin lit up the craft pretty well. D stated that the craft appeared to be hovering silently somehow stayed in one place without any visible, traditional, or known methods of generating thrust. D added that when he drove past the craft, he then turned around and tried to drive closer to see the craft. D stated that both of them lost sight of the craft after turning around, but soon found it again in the same place as before. D stated that the craft had an orange light during their first sighting, but on the second sighting, the craft had 4 red lights that were in a diamond shape. D then stated that the 4 red lights were blinking in a pattern and were located at what appeared to be the front of the craft. D added that the red lights were very bright and were lighting up the trees directly below the craft. D stated that he estimated that the closest the two of them were from the craft was approximately 300 feet away, and he estimated that the craft was the size of a standard school bus, or approximately 35 to 45 feet in length. D added that shortly after the two of them observed the craft for the second time, it flew away in a flash, with no noise or air disruption. I asked D about his mechanical elements statement, and the only thing he could think of to explain what he observed on the craft was for me to look underneath a picture of the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. Now that's wild. Conclusion. D stated that he lives in an area where fighter jets, commercial airlines, helicopters, and drones fly over his residence day and night. He added that he is also familiar with the sounds they all make. D stated that what he observed on March 22, 2026 wasn't anything he's observed before. D stated that he also made a report to MUFON, along with doing his own investigation into the sighting. D emailed me pictures and drawings of the UFO he observed, which will be added to this report. I am classifying this as an anomalous sighting. Keith Bickford. Yeah, what a cool sighting that was. This next sighting happened on 10/26/25, duration 4 seconds, observers 1 military. Location, Marinette, Wisconsin. Chevron shape, no collar. Estimated size could be 50 feet wide and could be 250 feet wide. Viewed from land, direction from viewer, I was facing east. Angle of elevation, 89 degrees. It was heading in a northeast direction. Closest distance, 1,000 to 10,000 feet would be my guess, not sure. Speed, as fast as a shooting star burning up in the atmosphere. Lights on object, electrical or magnetic effects. Saw a very fast, silent, traveling UFO in the middle of the night for about 4 seconds. Then it was out of sight. Had a sleepless night a few days ago. I went outside to get some fresh air. The sky was clear and tons of stars were out. As I was watching the sky for a few minutes facing east, I saw an object moving at a very fast pace traveling northeast as it flew straight over Marinette Marine, our shipbuilding facility in town here. I had no idea what that was. I thought maybe a drone, but I'm not sure. I didn't see the body of the aircraft. It looked like one big wing. It looked to have some type of jet engines on it, about 8 or 10 of them, evenly spaced across the rear, lit at different intensities. This thing was moving fast, like as fast as a shooting star burning up in the atmosphere. I couldn't tell how far away it was when it flew by, but there were so many stars out, I could see the shadow of the shape of this thing flying by with the full sky of stars as a backdrop. So he's talking about an actual object flying by, not a shooting star. It was completely silent also. Did not hear a thing. Just after, I thought maybe a plane. Then I looked for planes in the sky. I saw a few, but they were moving like snails compared to what I had just seen. I immediately went in the house and drew a picture of it and put it on a post-it note. That is cool. They got a picture of it here. It almost looks like a flying wing or something. Definitely not a meteorite, whatever this guy saw. And they described the speed of it like it's going over 15,000 miles an hour or something. Maybe if it's going as fast as a meteorite. This sighting here is from February 23rd, 2024. Duration at 10 to 15 seconds. Observers 1, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Sitting at ground level on driveway patio. Shape rectangle. Color gray translucence. Estimated size 4 by 3 feet. Viewed from land. The object was moving southwest to northwest from my vantage point. Angle of elevation 55 degrees. Heading south to north. Closest distance maybe 100 feet. estimated speed 15 mile per hour. A completely silent, medium gray, translucent rectangular box gliding perfectly straight down the block, going at a steady speed. I was sitting with my sister and brother-in-law on their patio to get some fresh air. We were just laughing and talking. I was looking around trying to find some stars. I heard a siren somewhere and looked down the street. When I adjusted my sight to look, I saw movement in the sky at the end of the block. I blinked a few times at first because the color was so similar to the sky behind it, or it was translucentish in color. It was moving down the block like it was following the street from the sky. What I saw looked like a big, not perfectly squared shoebox. It was between my sister's tree immediately next to the street and myself as the viewer. It was probably 75 feet above the ground, very close to the height of the treetop. It never went behind the tree, and it never changed shape or color. It moved at a very consistent pace, exactly south to north without deviating. It was so fluid. It flew so smoothly and was completely silent. I could not look away. I was able to watch it for approximately 10 to 15 seconds. I asked my sister and brother-in-law, "Do you see that?" They kept talking, laughing, clearly not hearing me. I almost asked again, but was nervous they wouldn't see it. It really blended in with the background, and they'd think I was crazy. I watched it glide parallel to the street until it was too far away to see anymore. I did want to note that a few seconds after I first saw it, I was reminded of the jellyfish UAP, except it was a completely different shape and size. However, the translucent kind of coloring and the steady, calm speed it traveled at was extremely similar to that jellyfish UAP. I have no idea what I saw at all. I just didn't know how or if I should pass on what I saw. If you would like to contact me, that's fine, but you definitely don't need to. Just passing on my experience. Well, that's a pretty cool experience. It's a shoebox-shaped UFO, 4x3. They're not all big. Some of them almost seem like they're probes or something. We'll do a couple more here. Here's another one of these cube rectangle type UFOs. They've got a picture on the side of this one. It's weird, man. It looks like maybe they've taken a video or something and posted. Happened October 8th, 2023. Duration 20 to 23 seconds. Observers 1, Marshall, Wisconsin. Sitting in a residential driveway. Shape rectangle. Colors copper, burnt copper. Size 10 to 12 feet by 4 by 4 feet. So another person out in the driveway looking up and seeing one of these things. Viewed from land, I was south of it by 40 feet. Angle of elevation 70 degrees. Heading east-southeast. Closest distance 500 yards. Estimated speed 35 to 50 mile per hour. Copper rectangle, apparently 10 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. Less than 600 yards away. Broad daylight. Apparently 10 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. Less than 600 yards away. Broad daylight. On October 8th, 2023. Youth deer hunt in Wisconsin with my son. Hunting at his sister's house in Marshall Township. 2:41 p.m. Nice sunny day with scattered pillow-like clouds. Wind was coming from the northwest at about 10 miles to 15 miles per hour. We were waiting to see deer come into an open field per their daily routine. My son, being his first hunt, says, "I just want to see something to shoot." And I look up at the top of the hill that we were sitting halfway up on. I see a black spot crest the hilltop just over the tree line between the top of the hill and the very low-lying clouds. It was at least 1,000 yards away. I thought it was a turkey vulture. I was going to jokingly tell my son, "Well, shoot that." But as soon as I started to speak, this is how it went. "Well, shoot that. Wait, what is that? It doesn't have any wings. What the heck is that?" As it was coming in an almost direct line toward us and practically directly overhead. "What the heck is that? What the heck is that?" I got a great view of it. It had to be closer than 600 yards away. It appeared to be a copper rectangle. I could see 3 sides of it as it passed over. It was at a cant position, so I could view 2 long sides and the top. The top was flat, but not smooth in appearance, and looked blackish. The 2 sides Both looked to be copper plates that had shapes pressed into them for the insides, like embossing. And the whole thing had the appearance of burnt copper, except the higher the embossing, the brighter the copper color. It flew directly east in a southeast wind, traveling at approximately 35 to 45 miles per hour. It made no sound, had no lights, no visible exhaust, and did not change its cant or its heading as it passed over. I did, however, get an internal intuitive feeling that it was mapping the Earth. I don't know why. I hunt with a .338 Winston Mag, 600 yards. I considered shooting it, but I've always believed you can't be responsible with a firearm if you're shooting at the unknown. Well, and one other thing, that's a high-powered rifle, and bullets come up and bullets come down, and we all know by now that a lot of times when those bullets come down, they are at lethal trajectory and speed. So good for you for not shooting at this thing. The picture's amazing. I don't know. It looks like, I can't think of the guy's name. The Secure Team. There's a picture, and it has Secure Team's website on it. Now, I don't know if this is just something he's put up there because he's like, hey, this looks the same or what, but it looks similar to what he saw. This rectangular shaped copper colored box with it's got a texture to it, say on the surface, and then he's got a drawing here he made of it. It's almost like he says somebody has embossed it, or maybe I don't know if it's bas relief or carved in, but it seems like it's trying to communicate with us somehow. That's what it seems like. I don't know, but this is neat. I am especially interested in these flying cubes, flying rectangles. They're so not aerodynamic that something has to be some kind of anti-gravity system has to be at work here. Obviously, they're not being propelled by propellers or anything like that. Now, this sighting's got a pretty cool picture with it. If you go over to Nuforc, the sighting number is 178440. I'm looking at this picture. I would describe it almost as a bell-shaped, and then it's got lights on the top. The top is lit up, I should say, and then kind of you can see the bottom of the bell around it is somewhat dark, and then underneath of it, it's a collection of these individual circular-shaped, bright yellowish-white lights. And he's got a picture, a close-up, and he's got a picture of it here in the sky. And this is, wow. And not to dog Louis Elizondo, but man, these guys are always coming out with these UFO pics, and a couple of them that Louis come out with have been clearly debunked. There's so much good material online, just on Nuforc alone, guys. Go and investigate some of this stuff. I mean, you've got the resources to get in touch with these people and talk to them about what they've done. There's so much good material out here available for people to examine. I don't know why they want to get hung up on these easily debunkable cases. Anyway, I'm talking too much. This happened on September 13th, 2023, duration 5 seconds, Pewaukee, Wisconsin. The UAP was due west of me, an estimated mile away from where I took the photo, shape orb. Now, they're calling it an orb shape. It looks to me like a bell shape. I mean, you can look for yourself. Lights on object. I was driving in my neighborhood and saw an extraordinarily dark cloud above the setting sun and saw a bright object appear to drop fast. I was driving north in our subdivision on Millridge Circle in the town of Delafield, Wisconsin, when I saw a very bright object appear out of an extraordinarily dark reddish cloud deck above the setting sun. I immediately pulled my vehicle off the road and jumped out to take a picture. I only got one picture, but it was a live picture on my iPhone 14 Pro, which has a fairly good resolution. After taking the picture, I looked down to see what I had captured and then no longer saw the object. When I got home, just 2 blocks from where I took the photo, I told my wife I think I just took a picture of a UFO because I thought I saw this object move unlike a plane or helicopter and without any sound. I gave my wife the phone and she immediately zoomed in on the object and exclaimed that it didn't look like anything she'd ever seen flying in the sky. Well, I can vouch for that. When we looked at the live picture, the object appeared to make an almost instantaneous V maneuver, dropping and then rising across an unknown distance. If the live picture accurately captured how the object actually moved, and it wasn't a photo artifact or from me possibly moving, it would defy any traditional plane or helicopter movement pattern or speed. Okay, wait a second. That's true. But man, you don't even need that. The picture of the UFO itself is enough is enough evidence to me. I mean, this thing is wild. This object appeared to be circular with the upper half grayish and divided by a darker band. The lower half appeared to be a distinctively arranged pattern or grouping of 11 or perhaps more highly intense lights. And to me, it looked like a bell. I initially thought that this object may have been a mile or possibly more west of where I took the picture, but the level of detail captured by my iPhone photograph likely belied my initial estimate of the distance, unless this aerial anomaly was incredibly large. Could have been. I called a local news station and the county police to report what I saw, but the news station showed no interest, and the county sheriff said that if the object was no longer there and there was no immediate threat to the community, there was nothing they could do. Paperwork, and they don't want that. I tried to report this to NASA, but they are evidently only taking reports from military, government employees, or pilots. Also, don't want the extra work. Yeah, what a cool sighting. That picture's something else. Really, really neat. We'll do one last one here. This last sighting is dated July 8th, 2021. Looks like 6:15 p.m. local time. Duration 1 to 2 minutes. Number of observers 2. Location Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. Shaped triangle, color black. Estimated size 150 feet long, viewed from land. Direction from viewer northeast. Angle of elevation 70 degrees, heading north-northeast. Closest distance 500 to 1,000 feet. Speed slower, 30 mile per hour. Lights on object. We saw 2 large black triangles. They had 3 circular white cream lights, one on each tip. No sound. My girlfriend and I were leaving the Culver's exit off 347. I was getting ready to turn off when I noticed a woman had stopped her car in the road and was looking up. I called out to get her attention, and she said, "What's that in the sky?" or something like that. She was totally focused on it. We couldn't see what she was seeing since our cars were facing different directions. I proceeded to drive and try to see if there was anything in the sky. We saw 2 large black triangles. They had 3 circular white cream lights on each tip. No sound or anything. They were headed in the direction of the lake. I swear they were a few hundred feet in the air. I was standing outside the driver's door, looking above the car to the right east. There were houses straight ahead of us, and the craft was flying above them over the field. I have no idea if it was just out of my peripheral vision prior or if it just sort of appeared, but it moved right from my right eye line to my left. It was just flying slowly above the field. A big black triangle with 3 white lights at each tip. I saw it from the side with the lights down, looking at the triangle from its left side. I could tell there was volume in the craft. It wasn't flat, it was a triangle, but I could tell that it was 3-dimensional. It was a few hundred feet high and was flying north, but toward the east, 20 degrees or so. I didn't really process much. I only stared at it for a few seconds, and I'm pretty sure it disappeared beyond a cloud or something, but I saw it. I'm assuming this is what the woman was originally talking about. Well, she must have been pretty excited. If she stopped her car in the road to get out and look at this thing. I would not recommend doing that, especially this day and age. Pull over to the side of the road or find a driveway or something. But yeah, just imagine this giant black triangle. Sounds like 2 of them flying right over the road out across the lake. A lot of cool sightings up there in Wisconsin. I guess they got more going on than making cheese. That's for sure. Hope you enjoyed the program. Don't forget to hit like, follow, subscribe. Doesn't cost a dime. As always, thanks to everyone who supports the program financially. It really helps. Until next time, this is UFO Warning. Over and out.